Yo, yo, yo. What's good? What's good? It's Stormy B Man, and I am back. Welcoming you to Nerds on Culture with Stormy B Man for this Monday, April 8th, 2024. This is number 81 in the series of Nerds, as this evening we discuss your favorite comic book superhero film. And this is a subject that can go by the numbers, but we're not counting off a list. We're just going to say what my favorite is, what Drew's favorite is this evening. You guys can chime in the chat and let us know what yours are by listing it in the chat. And we'll have a discussion about our favorite comic book superhero films, the live action versions of whatever it is. I don't care if you were a Dennis the Menace fan and you got a chance to see the Dennis the Menace TV show from many moons ago, or it could be something as subtle as Spawn or whatever. But we're going to talk a little bit about that this evening and just nerd out on what makes a particular film our favorite. There's no wrong answer in this. It's just what you like. And for me, my particular taste will be expressed. Drew is going to express his. And we want you guys to express yours, because this is what our show is about. We come here on Mondays to nerd out, man, and kind of let your hair down. You know, Stormy has let so much of his down. I ain't got none left to let down. You know what I'm saying? So it is what it is. But welcome this evening, you guys. Smash the like button as you come into the building. As I introduce my co-host of the show, we got Drew Titan in the building. What's good, man? What's good?
That's rock, man. I was looking forward to this, man, because there's so many.
Yeah, it's a lot, you know.
Yeah.
And like I said, there's no wrong answer to this.
Right.
I wanted to ask you a question before we get down into it. Are you finding that since you officially and got into launching Bear Cave, isn't it a great outlet for you now to kind of go and start touching on some of those things that you've always wanted to talk about and everything?
It's refreshing. And I see Jab Jamboree. That's my partner in crime on Friday mornings. So much. And Mother Nature interrupted us last
yeah.
If you look at on my show, I uploaded the damn scene from Bear Cave on all three of my channels.
I saw the short on it. I watched it a little earlier today. I was like,
man, that was funny. I was like, what the man? I don't know how I kept it together. I ain't never been so scared, man.
And salute to Act, because he held it tight for you on there, because I know he was like, what's going on? But he was so cool with it. He was like, you talking about the little earthquake we got? Like buildings falling and shit. And
man, I'm looking
all cool. Like,
I'm looking at my lamp. I said, why my lamp shaping uncontrollably? I'm like, what the? Wait a minute, that's not right. Scared out of my mind. Jeez,
I was cracking up with that part because I was listening to you guys live when it happened. But when he came in with that, he was like so cool. You know, listen, Act got a job as a future TV broadcaster, because that's how they want you to act. When there's a war going on around you and everything, you got to act like a bullet didn't just whiz by your ear. You know, yeah. There's seems to be some assault going on out here, and it's like,
man, oh man. The lamp I'm looking at right now, that shit was like this. I was like, what the fuck? I was like, yo, what is going on? I was like, wait a minute. He was like, yeah, you talking about the, I said, is your ground shaking? He's like, yeah. Man, we ain't ready for that. Oh my God, man. But salute the act, man. It's refreshing. Fridays, I look forward to Bear Cave. We're gonna finish what we started on Friday. We'll get to that. We're gonna add to it. And it's refreshing to have those types of conversations and give boxing a rest, because Lord knows we need a rest.
Yeah, man.
But yeah, this is it's a great outlet.
And sidebar, I want to add, like, for me, the Kung Fu movie outlet, this, and definitely my Dine and Dish has made a difference, because before I started doing Dine and Dish, I was always talking about food during my broadcasts. You know, it's like I found always, but once I started doing Dine and Dish shows, I didn't do that anymore. So it was almost like I needed to vent and have an outlet for that. And once I did, it's cool. Like now I can make a reference to something, but it's not segueing into a conversation on it, because I do have an outlet for that now. And that's one of the reasons why, as we do what we do as content creators, you find your niche, you know, and whatever it is, you just kind of work from that. And that's what I do. You know, I don't venture off and try to have a serious talk show and this and that, when so many people are doing those kind of things and doing it very well. But there are things that I do well, and I've kind of found, you know, my outlet for those. So that's what it is all about, man. But this nerd show, this is for everybody. I didn't create this selfishly. I created it because I wanted to draw in people who have loves and affections for things and subjects that we cover here, just like we do. You know, you know, really, sometimes it's almost been like a taboo to admit that you had, you know, a nerdism for something, you know, in particular.
Well, listen, here's how I view it. For years, when you get a certain age, the only people shaming you for indulging in things like this are the opposite sex. And what I found is, and I don't want to turn this into pep talk, what I found is when the opposite sex would ridicule me for having these hobbies, video games, drawing, reading comic books, drawing comic books, writing stories. It didn't have to be that. It could be like, yo, man, look, I can't do nothing on that day because I legitimately go to the gym and I box, or I go play ball. When people ridicule you for having these hobbies, it's because they have none of their own. They have no imagination, and they're stuck. So it's a form of jealousy that you're taking your time and you're utilizing your imagination, and they have none. I had a healthy childhood. I played with toys. When I grew out of that, I continued to draw in comic books, and I write. I have my own universe, and I write stories still. Haven't done anything with it as of yet, but I have a bunch of stories and characters. I have my own universe, and I stand by that. And the only people that can't stand things like that are people that lack imagination. They lack initiative. They can't do things like how I do it. And as we've gotten older, I've taken pride in that. And I have fun doing so. And this is a spot for people that of like mind to get together and talk about these things. It's not childlike. It's not childlike when you don't have a mind of your own and you don't have a hobby and you have to occupy yourself with drinking, smoking, clubbing, and all of this stuff that eventually in our community I've seen that has led to problems. You know, I'm gonna tell you this. The times that I was at home, because you're an artist, you know, when you're drawing something and you're like, oh man, this is it. You could draw something all day. You could be at it all day. And when you get into that zone, you don't want to be bothered. You don't want to answer the phone, nothing. You know how many times I've had those moments? And I swear to God, there were times where I've had those moments. And then the next day, my phone ring. Oh, yo, where were you? Do you hear what happened yesterday? No. Well, so-and-so got shot. Oh, I was upstairs drawing. I was upstairs writing. I was upstairs playing Street Fighter. Whatever it is I was doing, I wasn't outside at that moment. My hobby kept me out of trouble. You understand?
Oftentimes, yeah.
Yeah. So,
Oftentimes.
I proudly say I'm not a street kid. I was around it, but I chose not to indulge in it because I had an imagination.
And I'll tell you, like with my Kung Fu film focus shows, my most viewed content, when I create one of those lives, it goes through the roof. And what I realize about it is it's people from around the world checking that out, and maybe from different time zones and whatnot, because they can't catch me when I'm live. But once it's been put out there, they look for it and they find it and they watch it, and that's still gratifying because somebody is out there relating, you know what I mean? And that whole thing about it is when I was growing up, and I've kind of mentioned it here lightly. I've talked to you behind the scenes. It's like I was really into Bruce Lee growing up as a kid. There was just something that I identified with the man, and I read voraciously material that was about him after he passed away, because there was nothing before he passed away. But once he had passed away, there was like all these books and articles and things would get released. Black Belt magazine would always have something on him, because when he was in America, he would visit the studios of Black Belt and sit down with the editor and talk about different stuff and tournaments and stuff. So a lot of people weren't aware of that. So they would reissue those articles. But one of the things that I would encounter from friends, so-called friends, and even the girls, there's that Bruce Lee freak. That's what they would call me. That's the Bruce Lee freak, Yeah. And it's funny because I wasn't really knowing what I know about Bruce Lee collectors and stuff now. It's like I was nowhere near a Bruce Lee freak compared to some of these guys out here. There are some people out here, bro. They are true blue. You know what I mean? And the whole thing that I mentioned that is because that's the positive part of social media that have connected the dots for us people across the world and allowed us to be able to share in our nerdism over whatever it is. You know what I mean? And it's very gratifying, like I said, to know that you're not the only guy. You know what I mean?
Right.
And getting back to the comics and the themes of them, there are always kids in the comics or personalities in the comics who feel lonesome, and they feel like loners, and they feel like, if I could just, get somebody to notice me or whatever, the Peter Parkers of the world, those kind of things. And then their stories turn into something great that makes them a hero or someone of notoriety, and then people do take note and everything, and it was all that they ever wanted, you know what I mean? But it comes also at a cost, but all of that is what it's about. And that's why I enjoy doing this show with you and presenting it to the people who support us and tune in to us.
No amount is good enough. I came outside. I wasn't like a secluse. I didn't stay in the house all day. I came outside. It's just that sometimes I didn't feel like going outside because I had the eerie feeling, or it's like it's too hot outside, or I didn't feel like staying on the bench all damn day. I'd say, I can go upstairs and do something. Let me go write a story. Let me go draw. And people knew me. I was outside, for certain things, but I knew when enough was enough. And prior to video games, You know, I can keep myself occupied. I really don't need a cell phone. I really don't. I really don't. You know, I could sit there and write stories and draw all day, literally all day, and exercise all day.
See,
You know,
this particular comment right here, this is why. You know, it's like when you say that this and Bear Cave is also therapeutic,
appreciate
that means more than just the words being spoken, because think about it. Right now it says we have 11 people watching us or whatever. There'll be some who will come in, there might be some who drop off, but at the same time, those who ride with us, they could always be doing something else. You
Right.
know what I mean?
Right.
But the fact that we've tapped into something of their interests, you know, that's what it's all about. And we're going to continue to do that, you know, as we get on down into the nitty and the gritty of what tonight's show is about. Favorite comic book superhero film. For me, as I looked them over, and I've watched quite a few. You mentioned a couple behind the scenes right before we went live that I didn't think about, but the MCU and the Marvel universe, that first 10 years, they had a tremendous run.
Yeah, they
And
did.
they were dedicated to source material. They were dedicated to the fan base. They were dedicated to telling stories that led to somewhere in a united, connected universe of characters that they had the cinematic rights to, and that they could present to us in a serious form. Because one of the things that comic book films, superhero films, by the way, let me just say it like that. One of the things that they did that others hadn't done was they initiated a serious tone.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there could be humor, but they didn't take the material humorously. They had a serious approach to it. And it wasn't until a certain person that joined their universe, and it was actually late in the game. He was a director that came in, and he had some success on something, and it kind of shifted the direction a little bit. And I view him as the catalyst of this. A lot of people may not know who this person is that I'm talking about. You might think you do, but because there's a couple of guys, but there's one man in particular. And now, with hindsight being 2020, with the experiences of what he has done, I can see now where he's going elsewhere and also destroying things. And that would be James Gunn. James Gunn came in, they hired him to do Guardians of the Galaxy. And Guardians of the Galaxy had a lot of characters in it that were intergalactic characters, animal characters, and characters that were like just kind of on the absurd and weird level. And when we talk about characters like Rocket Raccoon or Groot, and it was successful, but I think the ingredient of the success was not his humor that he incorporated and everything. It was the fact that everything that came before made the audiences receptive to what they were doing. And so when they brought something different and fresh, the audience applauded. Wow, you can do this too. That's great. But see, you don't trample over everything else by taking the success of that entity and then trying to incorporate that in everything else going forward. And I think that was a heavy influence. It's what influenced Taika Waititi to come in and also take things sideways. And I didn't have an appreciation for that, because each and every subsequent thing that came after that, we could see where things were coming apart. Your thoughts on what I had to say about that with the MCU?
I agree 110%. They had a good thing, and I understood the direction that they were trying to go. Not everything needed. You need some kind of comic relief, but not too clowny. So I understood the direction they were trying to go with Guardians of the Galaxy, and I understood the ideology behind bringing in somebody that can introduce that feel. They were supposed to be outcasts. It was a team that happened by accident. There was a bunch of different personalities, and they just formed a group, and they were superheroes. And well, they turned out to be superheroes. And so I get it. The first Guardians, it was good. I liked the first Guardians movie. Second one was okay. It was, again, tolerable. I didn't feel like I spent my money, but the foolishness took over, and woke culture took over. And it literally, as a supporter of this thing, you got to understand, they really disrespected the core fan base that made this a sought after universe, a sought after franchise. The people that made this thing famous are the people like some of you in the chat, like me, like Stormy. This is legit our childhood. There's characters on that screen that are older than us. Literally, some of those characters came out in the 70s, the 80s, the 50s. So to see this transition on the silver screen with the amazing things that they do with CGI and everything else, and these amazing writers, we appreciate it, and we spend our money on these things. And I felt like, because I saw everything and I respected it, and to see the shift, it's definitely like, it's like, hey, it's a superhero movie. These fools, all we gotta do is put a Marvel insignia on it, and they'll go see it anyway. Don't treat me like that, because now I feel like I am an adult. I am an adult, and if you do me dirty on a project or two, and I'm listening to, and see, this is the good part about social media, because these nerds, if this was the 80s, there'd be someone just like me or Stormy in California, and I'll never meet them. We used to have to write to these comic books. At the back of the comic books, they had something called bullpen bulletins, where people would actually write in the Marvel section, and they would pick letters, in the writers or the artists would address them.
Yeah, like a mailbag. Yeah,
it was a mailbag, and it was good or bad. It was like, well, I don't like this. I remember Todd McFarlane used to catch a lot of hell. But he says, well, this is what I do. If you don't like it, I've read some of the stuff. Now, this is instant. We're doing a show talking about it. All right. They are, and thank goodness, they are huge platforms with people that think just like us. And I know I'm not crazy. Like our brother Young DZ says, it's therapeutic. It is refreshing when I go to those bigger channels to see what they're talking about, because they got an ear to the ground. Like how we go to Blue Blood, because he can call some of these boxers up and talk to them. There's guys that can call these companies and call the artists and call the directors, and they have an ear to the ground. And it is refreshing that they feel how we feel. So I know I'm not going crazy. And I know that we're getting a shitty product. The first 10 years was magnificent. It didn't even feel like 10 years, because the storylines and the writing was so great. And they fumbled some stuff, but it wasn't unbearable. You understand? That Marvel Phase 4 made me literally want to choke somebody. And I feel that I've wasted my money on a few movies, and I refuse to do it. I did not see that Marvel's film. I did not watch the Marvels on Disney Plus. There's a lot of things I didn't read. And now I'm skeptical about a lot of their upcoming work. And In this instance, I like the fact that these guys that have the ear to the ground that are on social media, they leak information. And a lot of those guys are very trusted. They're very trusted. And I wait on them to say, yeah, look, I saw a preview of this. Yeah, you know, you could take your $20 and go see it. But I'm going to wait. You know what I'm saying? I wait on some of those guys. You know, and it's like that with the movies, it's like that with the comic books. One of the comic book guys that we follow, Stormy, this guy said this. He was reviewing this comic. He said, literally, stay away from this book. And I clicked on the video, and it was a comic book dedicated to the lingo that these kids use. One of the characters was named Safe Space. And I said, why does that sound familiar? Safe space is a lingo that kids use on the social media world, where it's like their safe space where no one can bother them. It's like the characters were based off of lingo, social media lingo. And this dude said it is the worst. And of course, I think there's a non-binary character in there. Once you go there, I'm not interested. Don't goof with my childhood, man. Don't goof with it. Don't do it. Don't do it. Because I'm just gonna hold my money. And you guys have to respect the fact that the reason why this is so huge is because we're still around. We're not dead. And these kids got such short attention spans. Don't try and reach out to them. These are the kids that grew up on Prozac. These are the Prozac kids. We're still alive. We're still breathing. We still have a pulse. Some of us got hypertension, but still, don't do that to us. Do not do that to us. It's very disrespectful. And they've lost money on Phase 4. And they've said that. And not in those exact words, but they felt it. That's why all of this time jumping and erasing entire universes, they're resetting things now because they felt it. That Thor Love and Thunder, oh boy, that was it. I was ready to close the doors on that. After that, I was ready to close the doors, man. I was like,
I'm actually I'm good with Phase 1, 2, and 3. I'm done with them. The new Fantastic Four that's coming, the Blade that's coming, the Infinity, the Avengers Secret Wars that they're gonna have. I'm not interested in any of that. They lost me. They lost me, and they lost a loyal supporter because of the foolishness. I'm gonna give you an example of what I want to talk about before we get into our favorite films, since we're talking about them. This is how good they used to be. And I caught this short just a little earlier. I would play it, but since YouTube tried to run that deal on us, I won't play it. But I'm going to tell you, the short is out there. You guys can check it out. It's called Why Thanos Gave the Mind Stone to Loki. That's the name of the short. Now, check this out. In the first Avengers film, this is all creative writing, guys. In the first Avengers film, it opens with the narration with the other talking to Thanos and explaining that they have given Loki the Mind Stone, which was the Tesseract. We later find out that that's the Mind Stone, right, after several movies. But when Loki comes to Earth with his army of the Chitauri, Thanos could have came to Earth and conquered Earth himself. He could have. But this short is explaining how they put the story together. Do you know why Thanos did not come to Earth himself? He didn't come to Earth himself because he used Loki, gave him the Tesseract, gave him a mission to come to Earth. However, we had the Tesseract was the Space Stone. Loki was given the scepter but the scepter had the Mind Stone in it.
Mind Stone in it, yeah.
Now, at the end of Thor, Thor destroyed the Bifrost. Remember?
Yeah.
That's how Loki fell, the fallen angel. He fell to Earth, and Thor really couldn't get to Earth. He couldn't go search for Loki because the Bifrost was destroyed. However, once Loki arrived and started committing murder and stuff like that, Thor, who is a guardian of the Earth, ended up having to come to Earth because of Loki. In the sequence where he snatches Loki off of the Quinjet,
yeah,
and he takes him over into the mountains, and they're talking, right? You see, check this out now. Go back and watch the movie. You see Odin's 2 crows fly by. Odin's crows are like his eyes and ears of what happens out in the universe. He sends them out. In Thor, The Dark World, at the beginning of the film, when they finish the battle and stuff, and Thor is standing up there watching the people, the Asgardians fight and train, Odin is standing there with one of the crows on his arm. I'm mentioning all of this because Loki tells Thor on that mountain in their conversation, how much dark force did our father have to conjure for you to be here? Remember him saying that to Thor?
Yeah, I do.
Because there was no more Bifrost. So he was questioning, how did Thor get to Earth? Now, Thanos knew that Odin didn't have the Bifrost. So Odin couldn't travel. And if he used dark energy, it puts him into the Odin sleep.
Yep.
Thanos knew this. So he went, when he sent Loki to Earth, Thanos went to that other planet where the guy that makes the gauntlet.
Yeah.
He went and made him make him another gauntlet. Because the first gauntlet is in Asgard.
Right.
And Thanos wasn't going to go to Asgard where Odin is. So he knew that Odin was in the Odin sleep. How he knows, I'm not certain of that. But Thanos Thanos is a greater power of things than people realize. But he made make him a gauntlet, and then maimed him so he couldn't make any more. Remember?
Right.
Okay. Now that he did this, he knew that he would have 2 Infinity Stones. And the one that he lent to Loki in the scepter, and the one that he sent him to Earth to retrieve. Later, when things went bad and went south, we see Thanos in a end-scene credit go and get his gauntlet out and says, fine, I'll do it myself. Remember?
Yep.
So all of this is connected. But even though they didn't tell you these things per script and everything, this is how it all played out. And over a series of films. So that was well thought out. We're talking about brainstorming and coming up with these ideas and coming up with these storylines and plot devices that kept you engaged. And if you watched all of the films, watched all of the end scene credits, listen to the dialogue, because even when Thor in Infinity War was sitting on the ship after the Guardians woke him up, he was kind of telling them the story about what happened to his life. He was like, my mother was killed, you know, and this and that.
Yep,
My brother, you know, he was telling them the story, and they put a little humor in it and everything, but he slowly wiped the tear, and but I'm good, you know. It's like, but Thor had a lot of tragedy, and the funny thing about it was when he knew he had to go where Mjolnir was forged for Odin, Nidavellir, I can't hardly say that name.
Mjolnir.
No, Nidavellir, the place.
Oh yeah, Editorial. Okay, yeah.
Where what's his name? The small guy who was a big guy.
Yeah, the dwarf. But yeah, the
dwarf guy. Yeah, when he went there, to get a new weapon, you know, forged, and that's when he found out that Thanos had been there and did what he did. But you see, it all played out in the background. Thanos was moving like a ninja in the background. You know,
whole time.
All of these different things that didn't even get told to us. But if you explore the story and say, well, how did this happen? X, Y, Z. But this is why I'm explaining this to you guys, because that was good writing. They're no longer doing that. They're not. They're just changing stuff. Oh, let's make this person a woman. Let's make this person gay. Let's do this. Let's do that. And it's like, wait a minute. You're stepping all over quality source material for the sake of woke? Are you kidding me?
It's lazy.
That first 10 years, bro, it was so amazing. Did you know that in Iron Man 2, when he created the new element, that was the equivalent of like a new Infinity Stone? Because it was uncharted. Remember, Jarvis told him that you have created a new element. That's why born of that was nanotech and everything.
Everything else, yeah.
Iron Man 2, people. So when you saw Tony Stark in Infinity War, when the Thanos's minions came to Earth, and Tony tapped his chest like that, and his suit came up, and now all of that stuff came from that new element that Stark had created.
Right. Yep.
And there was something called the Exodus program. And the Exodus program was a way of them. Remember, Project Pegasus was that base where in the first Avengers film, where S.H.I.E.L.D. was. That was Project Pegasus.
Right.
So if you go to Ant-Man 2, when they're dealing with Ghost and everything, and then Lawrence Fishburne's character, who was what do you call the guy? Giant Man.
Giant Man.
He was telling him about Project Pegasus and how they had worked on that, and he had told him, he was telling Hank Pym the biggest he had grown was like 18 feet or something. Remember, they were having that.
Yeah, they was like, yo, yeah, you got bigger than that.
Dialogue out there, but see what they were telling you, like all this stuff was going on in the universe, just like Hank Pym and his wife in the late 60s, early 70s with S.H.I.E.L.D., they were stopping the Cuban Missile Crisis.
It was deep rooted back then. There was storyline. It was well thought out, well planned, in depth, and it's been overshadowed by woke, and I can't respect it. And I saw what I remember what you told me the other day. Tried to ignore it, but you know that doesn't help things. And you see what Cooking with the Champ says. One of the dimensions of all the Silver Surfers they're going to pull out, the one Silver Surfer they're going to pull out is going to be a female. Why are you doing this to us? Do you know Galactus has a female herald? It's a female herald. Her name, I think her name is I forget her name, but she's all silver with fire hair. Just make it her. Don't make her a Silver Surfer. I forgot what her name is, but she was created in the 80s. She's a herald of Galactus. Do that. Don't make her a Silver Surfer. I mean, why would you? Come on, bro. And before someone pulls the race card, or the chauvinist card, or whatever you want to call it, the hate card, I didn't like when they remixed the Fantastic Four and Michael B. Jordan was a Human Torch. I didn't like that either. Stop changing things. Leave it. The stories are already there. There's no character development as far as all you have to do is transition it to the screen and make it believable. That's all you have to do. Half of the work is done. We need a great story, and it has to be authentic but connected to the characters that we grew up with. Fantastic Four came out in the 60s, man. How do you find a way to mess this up?
I wanted to address real quickly, Cooking with the Champ. Salute to Cooking with the Champ. He says he thought the nanotech was developed in Wakanda by Shuri. Shuri did develop some nanotech technology, but that doesn't mean Tony wasn't onto it as well. Shuri is, she was tremendously intelligent and smart with her science and everything, but Tony was the Western world's, equivalent, and he did some of those things, on his end. It's just like Tony was the one who solved time travel. You know what I mean? It's like because they didn't get a chance to really introduce the Fantastic Four properly and everything, it would have been Reed Richards, because Reed is supposed to be the smartest guy out there. But Tony ended up being the smartest guy because of the direction they had headed and how they just couldn't get the rights to certain characters and everything in a timely fashion. Don't forget that Fantastic Four was with Fox Studios, and they didn't get the rights to those characters until just a couple of years back. So, they couldn't do the Reed Richards and the Fantastic Four as they wished they would have. And Fox Studios wasn't interested in making a shared deal with them like Sony did for Spider-Man. So that's one of the reasons for that. But to get back on track of like what Drew was saying, to not just change characters for the sake of changing it, because you have so many that you can bring in that are well represented in their sexuality, being women, being, some of them are gay characters from the comics or whatever, but they didn't want to do that. They want to take what you have and turn it. There's something terrible about that, guys and girls, because when you look at your history, they're doing the same thing in real life. They're trying to tell you slavery wasn't that bad. They're trying to not teach it in the schools anymore because they don't want their kids, the descendants of slave masters, to feel the guilt of what their ancestors did to another nation of people. So they're trying to erase that. And that's improper. So when we say this, we say it on a greater scale than the specifics of what we speak on. Because remember, the day may come when they want to burn all your books and everything that have history, because someone looks bad, someone did bad, and someone never paid for that bad. And if they can eliminate that, they think that they can skip by that. So have a vested interest in things and an understanding and knowledge of things, and take time out to study. Just like you study those freaking dance moves, and those, drugs, designers that they come out with every time, You run out there and you drink these energy drinks and stuff, all of that stuff. When you read the can and the label, it ain't got nothing in there good for you, but you're indulging something that will edify and uplift you and take you to a greater ground of consciousness and understanding of what your real purpose is here in life. You see, like what we're doing up here, this is purposeful. This is dutiful. It is helping someone somewhere that we don't even know. But that's why we do what we do. You see, And in the meantime, we can share some knowledge. We can share some understanding. We can teach a little bit and learn a little bit. That's why we do what we do.
It's not selfish, it's selfless. You understand what I'm saying? And that's why I put it out there. And I don't want to take the show in this direction, but I've had a few things happen to me behind the scenes with people who I thought I was cool with, and it almost turned me off. Like, you know what? I'm not helping anybody anymore because look where it gets me. But then I thought about it. The majority of people appreciate me. The minority can't stand me. And when you look at it and say, well, they can't stand me for what? And I can wholeheartedly say I didn't do anything to anybody. And I've come to terms that when people see when people that have ego problems and they see how people take to you, how people appreciate you, the love that you get when you click that live button, when people watch your videos, no matter how big or how small, they don't like that because they're saying, why do they like this woman? Why do they like this guy? And instead of counting their own blessings, instead of saying, hey, you know what? I want to do what you do. How can I learn to do that? Your ego, when you have an ego, if in front of you, it prohibits you from learning. You can't learn, I mean, you can't teach anyone if you haven't learned. That's why trolls really don't bother me, because if they knew how to do what I do, they'd be doing it. So critics don't bother me, because if they were so great, if they had all this critique for me, they'd be better than me. Because you know why? Us really big channel, they're not worried about what we're doing here. They look at us and say, man, that's great. That's great. They ain't got time to be hating on us. That's a term that these kids invented in the last decade or so. But it fits. And, you know, look, we deal with people of like mind. And that's what this space is about. And in this thing with comic books, it's deeper than comic books in these movies, man. What Stormy said is true. Those social studies books, those geography books that popped up in Texas not too long ago, and the parent read it and said, what do they mean? Africans looked for a better way of life, so they migrated to America. And they were talking about the 1700s, y'all. It's like, wait a minute, what are you talking about? 1600s, what are you talking about? Nobody in Africa got on a boat and went willingly to the Americas. No, some were sold and some was kidnapped. It was called slavery. And their justification was, we don't want to teach them negative. No, tell them the truth. You're trying to protect your history. And I need y'all to understand something. He who wins the war gets to tell the tale. That's reality right there. And if that one parent or a couple of parents, I don't know how many, if somebody didn't read that, your kids would have been coming home telling you, your grandkids would be like, oh yeah, well, you know, in Ghana, they migrated. What the fuck? What? So you telling me Roots was a lie? And 50 years from now, our grandkids will be saying, oh, Roots was just fantasy. They migrated. No, they didn't. Now, how does this apply to what we're talking about here tonight? With Marvel and woke, they're trying to normalize this fugazi, ridiculous behavior. And I'm saying, don't ruin my goddamn childhood. I grew up watching these characters. I grew up reading the stories. Why the hell is Colossus? I ain't want to go there, bro.
Yeah, don't
go there, bro.
even trouble yourself.
You know,
I want to address this comment by Young Deezy. Salute to Young Deezy out there. He says, I hope Deadpool corrects this mess. Young Deezy and chat. Ryan Reynolds signed with Marvel to do Deadpool 3 and bring him into the MCU. And out of that deal that he originally signed for, it was for that film with the possibility of another film and the opportunity for Deadpool to appear in at least 3 other films. In other words, almost like a 5-picture deal for him. It has now gone from being that to him barely being able to finish Deadpool 3 because they're trying to impact the DEI on his Deadpool 3 film and the woke agenda on his Deadpool 3 film. Ryan Reynolds is fighting heavily behind the scenes right now. They haven't gone into reshoots yet for the film. The film has been completed with principal photography, but the reshoots and like end credit scenes and everything, they have come to him with a ton of D&I and woke scenes to initiate and use Deadpool as a launch pad going forward with this stuff that they're trying to do, because they know that people are going to go see Deadpool because Deadpool has been established already. And he is fighting tooth and nail. Hugh Jackman is fighting because Hugh Jackman had made a similar agreement that he would come back, be Wolverine and Deadpool 3, but also make himself available for the 2 Avengers films that are supposed to come. But they want Hugh Jackman's Wolverine character to be defeated by a female character. And they want Deadpool to be defeated by the female Silver Surfer. And that's how she's supposed to get launched into the MCU. Because the Fantastic Four film that's coming, she's going to be his herald, Galactus. So they're trying, and Ryan Reynolds is like, hell no, we're not doing this. He's actually fighting for us. Ryan Reynolds is a man. I love the fact that he's doing this. I have, I've got another segment on my channel that I do, Stormy B-Man Reacts. I haven't done a reaction in a while. A lot of it is based on this kind of content and everything, but it's so sickening behind the scenes, I can't pull myself to do videos on it. It's really bad. You have no idea what they're trying to do. They're really, when Drew says ruin our childhood, dude, they're not trying to ruin our childhood. They're trying to obliterate it. I am serious. No Cooking with the Champ. I am not kidding. This is real.
This is real stuff, bro.
You can Google Ryan Reynolds Deadpool production problems on YouTube. There are videos out there. The information is available to you. I just don't spend a lot of time talking about it. I kind of hit Drew with some of the information from time to time to just make him aware. This is what's happening, man. And haven't I told you that these things were happening?
Yeah.
And Ryan Reynolds is fighting. It's almost he's like ready to walk away from it all. He's going to finish Deadpool 3, but he may not be in anything else after this because they are coming at him hard with this. It is something that they're trying to do. I don't know what it is, but it don't feel right.
Who's that woman? Remember I told you I saw an interview with her? I saw it on the gram. She was talking about she likes to disturb the establishment. She's like some super duper feminist. And she's hired by Marvel.
Yeah.
I forgot her name, but just listening to her pissed me off, man. I'm like, she's going to fuck it up. And then when it's done, and this is like that community getting back at us for having hobbies and not paying them attention when we were kids. This is how they stick it back to us. They're in a position of power. And they're going to fuck up something that they were never interested in growing up. And that's what enrages me. They didn't care. The only reason why they're dealing with this is because there's money involved, and they didn't want to put their little stinking mitts in it, goof it up, and when the sales go down, they say, okay, well, let's jump the shark now. It's over. It's not over. You killed it, man. You were never involved in it in the first place. You never liked it in the first place. When you have people involved in it and they don't love it and they don't know it, for instance, the Ang Lee Hulk movie, the only reason why I saw it was because of the CGI. But then when you talk to Ang Lee, he said, I was not familiar with the character of the Hulk. And I said, my God, how do you put this guy? All right. Okay. And they almost goofed it up. Now you got Hugh Jackman back. But this is what you're doing? The man is sick, if y'all don't know. This is supposed to be smooth for him. And they're giving him all this pushback. You brought him back just to lose to a woman. You brought him back brought Deadpool back, and you got that meeting of the minds. And now we got the Sony part of Marvel with everyone else. And this is what we wanted. And now you're making a Silver Surfer who's already been in the MCU. You're gonna make it a woman. You couldn't make it. Frankie Ray was the character I was talking about. That was Nova. She's all silver with fire hair. You could have just made it Nova, but you gotta make it a goddamn Silver Surfer, right? You gotta do that, right? Fine. You don't see us putting our nose in y'all stupid, stinking woke business. I'm gonna make a movie. I'm gonna write a story, make a movie about a dude that thought he was gay because his mama was touching on him, and then he realized he's straight. And I'm gonna make him a superhero. Watch. Just to piss y'all off.
And salute to Eric Jordan out there. He says, I heard that Deadpool 3 got canceled. It could get canceled because Ryan Reynolds, he's not doing any promotion or anything for this film. He's already announced that if they don't leave him alone with his film, because remember, it was he who got Deadpool to the screen when it was with Fox. So he has authority, he has power, but MCU is trying to flex over him because they absorbed the Deadpool franchise into the Marvel universe when they got the rights to those characters. But he has a say-so over creative licensing.
That's right.
Because his name is associated with that brand. They had even written in the comics that one of the writers had written in the comics that Wade Wilson looks like Ryan Reynolds under the mask. You remember that, Drew?
Yeah.
They described him as, what does Wade Wilson look like? He looks like a burned Ryan Reynolds under the mask of Deadpool. So Ryan has a lot of stake and stock in this. So I'm telling you all, if you want Deadpool to come out the way you think you would like to see it, get behind Ryan Reynolds and support that man, because he is fighting for this. I mean, he is battling. You guys have no idea. This film could have possibly be finished already entirely, but it's been due to what he's had to deal with from these people. It's unbelievable what they're trying to do. And Kevin Feige has lost his mind. He befriended that woman, Kathleen Kennedy, who came in to do nothing but undermine and destroy George Lucas's universe of Star Wars. And she's influenced him with these agendas to incorporate it into Marvel. And I think that he accepted it once Stan Lee died. See, when Stan was still alive, you still had to deal with Stan, because Stan could say, even though he really didn't have power, but he had authority. And authority and power is two different things sometimes. And when Stan was alive, Stan could not sign off on certain things. And as soon as he died, you can almost tag it. It's like, that's when things happen. As soon as he died, because I don't think his body was in the ground yet. And they were already, divvying out what they were going to do. Because phase 4, oh my goodness. In other words, check it out. Think about it like this, guys. We got a Black Widow film in phase 4. But in phase 2, going into phase 3, people were asking for a Black Widow film. And Kevin Feige was saying at that time, that's not a character we really want to, focus on. We think she works better as part of a team. That was at the height of Scarlett's fame and everything. So if you had given us a Black Widow film back then, even with her character's demise, when it finally happened at the end of phase 3, it would have been of greater gravity than it was. But it's like all of a sudden now they're thinking, well, she is a female character. We have a few films established already where she was out there. Let's just bring her back and do it, it's like a prequel. And then we're going to bring in characters like the Taskmaster and make them female and everything, and just make everybody that Taskmaster came through, a group of females. The Black Widow program. You see what I'm saying? How they took it and ran with that?
Enraging.
It don't make sense that they did this. But the people that they're using to do this, and the people who have this ideology, they don't even watch the damn films themselves.
They don't know nothing about the characters. They read a book or two, and then they say, okay, off to the races. This is what they do. And this is the level of respect. Now, I like to do this. Reverse the roles. I'm going to give me any popular female thing that, how about this? I'm going to remake Waiting to Exhale. And this is going to be about all these men getting done dirty. Oh, I'm sorry. That's called Real Life. And I'm going to call it, Killing Time to Breathe. And it's going to be Waiting to Exhale, but it's going to be a male version. And I'm just going to flip it and see how the women react. See how the people who love that book react. I'm going to take 50 Shades of Grey and remix it. Make it a big old Negro novel. I'm going to take everything that females have done and they hold dear to them, and I'm going to remix it. And see how you like it. See how you like it. Y'all going to be marching in the streets and rolling in the streets. You see, man, this is the WNBA factor. I remember watching an interview with those shorties. They said, we need LeBron James money. I said, great. Where's your LeBron James? What? I'll wait. Y'all, half y'all women can't even dunk a damn basketball. Listen, I've watched WNBA games. It's boring as hell. When y'all start generating LeBron James money, maybe somebody will get LeBron James paycheck. Right now, the WNBA is called welfare. It's not our fault. Just because you're running around with a basketball, you deserve what the men are getting? Nah, about doing what the men do. How about this? For every one man, there's about 8 women on this planet. There's more y'all. Why aren't y'all buying out all the seats and stuff? Why aren't y'all going to the games? Why you gotta leave it up to us? But then y'all invade what we do. Basketball games. There's even straight women going to strip clubs now, Stormy. Did you know that? That's a hangout spot for chicks now, for straight women. And I remember when that happened in the 90s. I was like, what are they doing? They're not gay. I can tell. They just looking around and seeing what we're doing and eating the hot wings. And I'm like, oh, 5 years later, it became a hangout spot. Now it's the norm. They go to the gentleman's club just to see, just to phones go up. And it's like, man, come on, bro. What are you doing? What are y'all doing? Why y'all infiltrating our space? And that woman, that Indian chick, when she said that, I meant to screen record that. I got mad. I'm like, yeah, this is why the MCU's goofed up now. This is why. They let people like that in the front door. And somebody doesn't have the balls to say, get her the F out of here. She's going to goof this thing up. They had a great 10-year run. Tonight's story is about your favorite comic book, the superhero film transition. We had a great 10-year run.
So much to the degree that some of those women now, they weren't even, during that first Marvel 10 years, they were kids. They were kids. Time.
Yeah.
And they weren't even watching these damn movies. They weren't watching them.
It was stupid.
If they did happen to see any of them, it was because maybe their parents took them with them to the theater or something. But
how
it
do
wasn't
they get in a position where they get phone calls to work on it? It's been in the theater 10 years ago, and literally a decade later, now you're working on it. Isn't there an interview process? What do you know? One of the main things they should ask you is, what do you know about these characters? Tell me in depth. You should have a nerd sitting there. What do you know?
Listen,
Nothing.
Just on what you just said there, James Gunn, who's supposed to be the CEO of Warner Brothers DC, right? He said with the films that they're making, he doesn't want the people that they're hiring for the roles to play the characters. He doesn't want them to read the comics.
Now,
James Gunn has told his people that he doesn't want them to read the comics. It's a waste of time. Now you got a guy getting ready to replace Henry Cavill playing Superman,
which is retarded.
He's been told not to read the comics, but he looks just like Henry Cavill, a few years younger. But you're doing this. You can't tell me this ain't some stupid effery out here, man, with these guys doing what they're doing. And James Gunn is a catalyst of this stuff as well. He's out here just like those D&I folk and the woke folk. He's doing the same thing. He's doing the same thing. And you know what he's been associated with, the P word. Yeah, him.
Yeah. They goofed it up, man. And now I'm at a point where I'm gonna see the Deadpool situation whenever it's released. I'm gonna see it just to see where, you know, what happens, and to support Ryan Reynolds because he's standing in the pocket. But do you remember when Wesley Snipes didn't promote Blade 3? Because he didn't like the direction it was going. If Ryan Reynolds doesn't promote this thing, I'll go see it because he's in it. But I'll know the direction is going, and I will no longer support anything Marvel attached, anything that Marvel's attached to. And you have woke culture to thank. You have woke culture to thank, and I hope it fails on its face, because, you know, we got 10 years of good stuff. We have 10 years of good stuff, and I hope it fails on its face. And the lesson will be from the dudes in charge that hired these woke individuals. You've allowed yourself to be bullied, letting in these you're letting in these women that literally hate men, and they hate you. You're letting in these broken wrist men in there, you know, talk. You allowed. Do y'all understand? I was in I'm sorry. I'm in a theater, and I had one of my younger relatives, and Shorty looked at me and said, "Unc, what's an orgy?" And I'm watching Thor. And he said it the first 2 times, and I'm hoping, okay, good, he ain't gonna say it again. Then he said it again. "You're not invited to the orgy." Nephew said, "Uncle, what's an orgy?" I said, man, okay, all right. I said, "I'll tell you after the damn movie." And I never explained it. But why should I have to explain that? Why should I have to explain that to little nephew? Why should I have to explain that? We trying to watch a superhero film. Why should I have to explain that? Who okayed that? Who said that was okay to put that there? Who said it was okay to strip Thor ass naked? Man, come on, bro. Come on, bro. Who said that was cool?
Now, let me comment on this real quick. Jamil is out there, and he's saying, didn't actors who played in the early X-Men films had to be given comics to them in secret because the director, Bryan Singer, didn't want them to read the comics? Absolutely. And guess who the person was that snuck them the comics? Kevin Feige.
Kevin Feige. Yep. Yep.
You see how he changed? You see how Kevin has changed? He has become Bryan Singer, in essence. James Gunn, in essence. But we won't dwell on that. Let's use the last few minutes that we have for our show to talk about our favorite films, Drew. And while we got a chance, I'll let you roll first with your selection, because we talked about this just before going on the air. You wanted to grace us with
Flash
Gordon. Man,
now listen, y'all.
Are you hip to the 1930s series?
Yeah, I did. I've seen a few episodes of that way back. They used to air it on PBS, I believe. It was in black and white, and I always knew it was a comic strip. And this came out when I was a kid. I was about 5 years old when this came out, and I had when you said this is what we would be talking about, I said, well, to talk about the Marvel and the MCU, that's easy. But I said there has to be something else, and I thought about it, and I said, man, I thought of two films, but this one, I said, wait a minute, Flash Gordon, this was dope. This movie had everything. Everything was over the top. Listen, you go watch this. It is so 80s, y'all. And the machinery in there was based off of fantasy machineries from like the 30s.
Mm-hmm.
It was fantastic, man. It was fantastic. There was a cartoon of Flash Gordon, but this gentleman right here, didn't he play football for real? In real life too? I don't recall.
I don't remember. I just know that this film is a cult classic.
Yes.
And that there should have been a sequel.
Yep.
But I believe that it was made as a one-off on purpose.
Yes.
Even though people wanted a sequel to it. This poster is for the 40th anniversary of the 4K restoration of it. So it's out there in 4K now. I'm probably gonna pick that up. I got the Blu-ray of it, but the 4K, I think I would love to see this in 4K. And salute to my brother Eric Jordan, who sent me a Cash App donation. I appreciate you, Eric, always showing straight support. And also he's in the super chat with a $5 holler. Appreciate Eric Jordan coming with the support. But yeah, Flash Gordon was amazing, man. Still a film that's a lot of fun. The characters and everything. If you guys aren't hip to what Flash Gordon is all about, it is really, especially even the 30s serials, because George Lucas based his Star Wars off of elements from Flash Gordon.
Yep. From
the 30s, and the sci-fi film Metropolis.
Oh yeah.
So,
in the
Hidden Fortress, the Hidden Fortress, he based it on a lot of that.
The soundtrack rocked, man. It was a group called Queen. They were so 80s, Freddie Mercury with the mustache, do your homework on him. But I would play the song, but yeah, it's YouTube, y'all. You already know. But I think the whole movie might even be on YouTube, but the soundtrack is on YouTube, and they killed it. Everything, it is so 80s, y'all, and it's corny as hell, but it's a fun. You're right, Champ, Cooking with the Champ. It is a fun film. You're not expecting an Academy Award, but cult classic, absolutely. So that was my number one pick. I said, man, Flash Gordon, this was like dope. If you never seen it, go ahead and see it. It's not even a long film. It's not that long.
And mine, I wanted to throw mine out there before we wrap things up. My favorite comic book film is Captain America, the Winter Soldier. Man, this movie right here, I remember when they had announced that Chris Evans was cast as Captain America. I was like, what? The guy that played the Human Torch in the Fantastic Four film? I was like, no, he's too loose and goofy. I like it. But little did I realize that Evans is a damn good actor.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen some of his independent film work, please do. This man is a hell of an actor. Now I see why Marvel picked him when they did to play Captain America, because you needed someone who could play the straight guy. He's sort of like Marvel's Superman, to be honest, but the way he plays Captain America with a sense of humility, a sense of out of touch, a man who has lost things, and it's just, and Evans, he really, the Steve Rogers that he played, he convinced you when he played Skinny Steve, Little Steve,
yes,
before becoming Captain America. And that made all the difference in the world, because when he became Captain America, he fought for all of us. And let me tell you this little tidbit about this film. When he was in World War II, his best friend was Bucky Barnes.
That's right.
Who ends up becoming the Winter Soldier. And the story is told. But in the Winter Soldier film, he finds a new best friend.
Yep.
A black guy, Sam Wilson.
Sam Wilson.
And they have a common place where they are both military men, so they can relate to each other and everything. And I'm going to tell you something, guys, and I get a little emotional when I think about this. In Infinity War, Endgame, when Cap was standing across the battlefield, facing off against Thanos and his army, he was the last man standing, literally. He was all battered and bruised. His shield was broken. He tightened that belt on his strap on his shield, and he faced up and limped toward Thanos, and he was getting ready, and Thanos was about to raise his pointing arm for his army to attack Cap, and all of a sudden you hear, Cap, can you hear me? Cap, can you hear me? And he started looking around.
On your left.
And then he says, on your left. Dude, I got the feels, because Sam was the first guy that came through the portal, man.
That's right.
And you know what? That was writing. That was tying it all together. That was what it made. Listen, that's when I was like, okay, I'm good. That's why I said they can't beat that first 10 years, man. But this film right here, from the soundtrack, the action, they brought Cap up to speed, because you got the chance to see what he had been doing since New York and the Avengers invasion of New York. Cap had studied martial arts and everything, and he was up to date on how to fight and everything, because in the Avengers film, he was still fighting like he was from the 40s.
Yeah.
But in this film, he was doing martial arts. They had, what's his name? The MMA guy.
St. Pierre.
Yeah, they had him playing Batroc the Leaper.
Oh, man. Like, nice beat character. They snuck that in there.
Yeah.
A nice beat character.
Oh, man. You know what I'm saying?
Like, yo, that's Batroc. I said, oh, and you notice they couldn't make it comic book accurate, but they put the colors on him.
Yes.
I said, oh,
and
he's playing
using his feet and everything. Yeah.
Oh,
but man, let me tell you, this movie is so good on so many levels, man. And then at the end of the film, when Black Widow brings him the red book with the Winter Soldier's history in it, and she leaves, and Sam looks over Cap's shoulder and he says, "You're going after him, aren't you?" And he told him, he told Sam, he said, you don't have to be a part of this. And he was like, when do we start? And then the movie ends. I'm like, man, that's my boy, man. Cap and Sam. Listen, man. Listen. This is my favorite film in the MCU. I love this film. And I haven't even watched it as many times as I've watched The Incredible Hulk. But it is my favorite film in the MCU. It is so well done on so many levels, man. Salute to the Russo brothers for bringing my favorite Marvel character, Captain America, bringing him into modern day, bringing him into live action. This man, Captain America. That's what I gotta say, man.
And as a point of information, let me add, the reason why he was able to get up off the floor and tie that shield on the best way he could, because a lot of people that don't know any better didn't know. Captain America's on that serum. He has a healing factor. So he'll break a bone and it'll heal in like an hour or maybe a couple of minutes or so. He could break a finger and it'll heal. He can't get drunk. Remember he was at the bar trying to get drunk? He can't get drunk. So he has a healing factor.
You remember he dove out the Quinjet with no parachute.
No parachute. Yeah. Probably broke his
like, hey, did he leave? Did he have a parachute?
Yeah, that's what he is. You know, he has a healing factor. It's not on a level as Wolverine, not as fast, but he has a healing factor. Listen, and then the next, there's him, then there's Wolverine who was born with it, but then there's Deadpool who can actually regrow his limbs. So that's like the next level.
Right.
But that's just a little fact I want to throw out there.
Well, yeah, this is a hell of a film, man. It's my favorite MCU film. They'll never be able to top this. Never, ever, 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 ever.
That's right.
And it is so well done. And I loved how they played the Winter Soldier up almost like the Terminator. When they were on that highway and he snatches the steering wheel off of the car when they drive it.
Oh, man, that was incredible. That was incredible.
But yeah, we're going to get ready to get out of here, man. I know you got to do your show, but thank you again for, contributing mightily to what we do here.
Absolutely.
And, as you guys can see, I got Cap as my backdrop here, where he's holding Mjolnir and his shield. So it's like, listen, this is what it's all about, man. We're doing our thing here, Nerds on Culture. Take that positive energy over to Pep Talk, because Drew is starting that in just a couple of minutes. But we're going to get on out of here. Thank you guys for joining us. And we'll catch you guys on the next one, man. Catch you on the next one. Peace to everybody. Shout out to the mighty LDBC.
Yes, sir.